Bob, for this briefing, do you want me to go on mute and stop my video?
Excuse me?
I said for this briefing, do you want
Yeah,
me
I'm going to
to?
ask you. Actually, I'm going to have to ask you to not be on it because you're going to show up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to show up.
Okay. Sid, do you feel comfortable with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All you need to do is just go on YouTube.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Since I do a sit at GitLab. All right. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Let me just turn this on. Whew, you know, what could possibly go wrong, right? Hi, welcome to Bright Ideas TV, and I'm Bob Resselman, your host for this afternoon. And we have a real exciting show because we have a game changer. A game changer is going to be on. So, but before we talk about changing games, I got to do the sponsor. And the sponsor for this episode of Bright Ideas TV is DevOps.com, where the world meets DevOps. You can go see them at DevOps.com. There you go. And this September 20th, they're trying something new and exciting. They're doing a virtual summit. So instead of having to get on an airplane and battle the airport and get in your hotel and then go eat all the bad conference food, you can sit in the comfort of your living room and attend a conference virtually. So go out to devops.com and you'll see the virtual summit for September 20th. Anyway, back to business. I am Bob Resselman. And this is Bright Ideas TV. And today's guest is Sid. I have to just say it, Sid from GitLab. And Sid's going to tell us his name, but Sid is an interesting guy. And let's just go back in time a bit before there was a GitLab or even was a GitHub. There has always, pretty much since the word go, been a Atlassian. And we have Atlassian Confluence and we have Atlassian Team City. We have a lot of Atlassian products. And what Sid and his partner Dimitri did is they looked around and they said, hey, there's a lot of opportunity here, which we might really want to start taking advantage of. And to do that, they set up GitLab. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about why it's a game changer and how it really did change the way the world works, particularly now that a certain company in Redmond has absorbed a major repo called GitHub. Anyway, so allow me to introduce to you Sid and tell me, do your last name because I have terrible trouble pronouncing it.
In English, people mostly say Sid Sijbrandij.
Sid Sijbrandij. That is a rap name if I've ever heard it. Sid Sijbrandij. I'm Sid Sijbrandij. I can see that.
S to the Y to the. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got it. Yes, S to the Y. So, Sid, let's get to the chase. And what is your bright idea, and how did it come about?
It was my co-founder's bright idea. And
really?
it came about. Yeah, Dimitri started GitLab. And it came about because he wanted to use great collaboration software. And GitHub was already on the market. He wanted to use something like that. But they had to use it self-managed, and there was zero budget. The company that he worked at, 200 different developers said, we see the value, but there's no budget for this, so we're not gonna pay for anything. So he looked around at the open source alternatives, and he didn't like what he saw, and he said, "Well, how hard can it be? I'll just make it myself." And in a year, 300 people joined him, and 300 people started to contribute to the software, and only then I saw it. And I thought, wow, it makes so much sense. All the tools I use as a developer, they're all open source, except for this collaboration piece. If anything should be open source and allow you to contribute, it should be your collaboration software. And I opened up the code base, and I was just really amazed at how good of a job Dimitri has done taking all those contributions and making it into a coherent whole. So I thought this is a great opportunity, and I started GitLab.com. I did go ahead.
Okay, so no, please. So let's educate our viewers who are not aware of the collaborative nature of GitLab. Maybe you can explain typically how the product works from a very basic point of view.
Yeah, so GitLab started as a collaboration software for developers. So in order to work on a software project together, you need to have version control, like who did what at what time, to make sure that you don't step on each other's toes, that you can discuss changes. So that's how GitLab started. By now, GitLab evolved, and it's the complete DevOps lifecycle, all the way from planning what you're going to do to seeing the results of what your program achieves when it rolls out. But when it started, it was that collaboration aspect for developers.
So is it providing also the standard agile backlog support, backlog management, backlog grooming, sprint management, story burn down, story point burn down, all that stuff's integrated?
All that stuff, and actually goes beyond that. It has portfolio management to manage higher level initiatives, all the way to a container registry, packaging, release management, up to monitoring and securing your software. All that in a single application.
Wow, container registry, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And is it a public registry that people can use the same way they use Docker Hub or GC container
Yep,
registry?
exactly.
Oh,
and it comes with GitLab, so and you can store public and private projects on there.
So let's do this. This is really interesting. And you went from you had 300 contributors on an open source project, and as I went through and read up on you guys, it seems you have 250 employees now.
350 people now. We've grown from 9 people in 2015 to 350 now, and more than 2,000 people contributed code to GitLab, the project.
Wow, that's an amazing accomplishment. That's a really amazing accomplishment. So tell me about did you wake up one day and say, I'm going to have a company that's going to be a major player in a collaborative software space, and I'm going to have 350 employees, and did you just wake up one day and decide to do that? Or were your ambitions different when you started to where you finally ended up at?
Yeah, it was certainly a journey where it changed over time. So when we started, I thought GitLab.com would be the big money maker. And then a year later, that wasn't working. But we had a lot of big companies running GitLab themselves, and they needed more features. So we started making those, and that worked really well. Then we got an offer early to sell the company, and my accountant back in the Netherlands said, sell it. Like, it's $10 million. You never have to work again. And I told my accountant, I really like working. So that's not really a motivation for me. So we ended up not selling. And at a certain point, we thought we lost a customer. They were really happy with our software, but they said headquarters has decided to standardize on one of your competitors. I was like, this is going to happen everywhere. Every company is going to standardize. And if we're not part of the conversation, if we're not talking to those companies, it's going to be we're going to disappear. And we thought we need to up our game. So we applied to Y Combinator. Y Combinator is an incubator in Silicon Valley. They help companies like Airbnb and Dropbox grow faster. We applied, got accepted. And in 2015, we were there. And he said, hey, you're here. They run 2 batches a year. And he said, there's a batch now, 113 companies. And 3 of you are going to be $1 billion plus companies. And if we know which 3, there will be 3 companies here. But we don't know. So we're going to help each and every one of you. But the tone was set that you shouldn't come to Silicon Valley if you just want to have a small company. You should aim high. And we weren't ready yet. But then we tried to recruit executives. And we said, look, we can offer a great salary, etc. And they said, what about stock options? We said, well, we don't mind giving you a few stock options, but we're not going to take venture money because we want to maintain this. We don't want to have the risk of going to a liquidity event, because that mostly ends up failing. Like, as a private company, forever private, we would have succeeded 80% odds. And if you take external venture, the odds of us succeeding are way less than 20%. So we thought we're not going to do that. But we couldn't hire the great executives here. And we're like, wow, what are we going to do? If we want to be the number 1 player, we need the best people. So we ended up taking venture money, even though I told my wife beforehand, like, stop me if I want to do that. We ended up taking it. And then that's kind of like a time bomb. Like, either you go to IPO or you get acquired. And we didn't want to be acquired. We want to keep our culture the way it is. So now you set a timer and you need to strive towards that IPO. And then you start thinking big and you strive to become that $1 billion company.
So I have a question. It's somewhat little tangential, but it's interesting to me. The terms you're talking in IPO, Y Combinator, these are very sophisticated VC sensibilities. Most people, coders on the street, don't have that unless they're very special. How did you acquire this education about how to operate in the venture capital or in the business space that you're occupying?
Yeah, I've always been an avid reader of technology news, and I still am. I hang out on Hacker News a lot, but also like TechCrunch was like a watering hole for me back in the Netherlands for many years. So I knew a bit about that, but a lot of education came during Y Combinator, especially about like sales, how to run sales and marketing and people operations. And then you read there's a great book called Venture Deals by Brad Field. Like that describes everything you need to know about a fundraising. You learn, and being here in the Bay Area really helps. There's a lot of people you can ask for advice.
So let me ask you one final question, because this is a fascinating topic. What do you wish you knew then that you know now?
I think one of our biggest mistakes has not been investing enough to get GitLab.com, make GitLab.com ready for mission critical workloads. And it's taken a lot longer than we thought. We're now getting there. The availability is way better than it used to be. The performance is way better, but it took 2 years longer than we thought. So I would tell myself that's a lot harder than you think it is. And you should put more, as soon as you have the means, you should put more money behind it.
So I do have one more question, because you just pricked my my technical curiosity. If you don't mind discussing, what is your stack?
So GitLab is Ruby on Rails with the performance part as Go microservices, Nginx, Postgres, Redis, cloud native hosted on Kubernetes.
Mm-hmm. And so are you cloud native? Do you mind sharing who your provider is?
So we're still in a transition, but we moved it recently from Azure to Google Cloud Platform, and we want to run it on GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine.
Oh, great. So you're right in there. That's great. Well, believe it or not, our time is coming to a close. This has been, I wish I had more time to talk to you. I mean, if anything, because now that I know you're from the Netherlands, that's just even more intriguing. It reminds me of a bit of Philippe Kahn, who's a French, and the notion of coming to the United States and doing technology in the United States as a European. That probably was just a whole different way of a whole different experience. But I could be wrong.
I think the Bay Area is very open to people from other countries, and people are used to that. Startup founders come from all over the world. So I found it a very positive and easy experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm wondering more what it was like for you. Oh, yeah, because, I mean, Datadog, they're coming out of France. There's some companies that are coming out of, you're seeing a lot of activity around St. Petersburg. Actually, Telerik is out of Romania. So there's a lot of stuff. But I love
Datadog, that they're awesome.
They solved a big problem too recently. But as being Dutch coming to the United States to work, was there anything different that you found, or was it, hey, this is just tech, I can do it anywhere?
No, it's the atmosphere here was as expected, but I used to travel to Silicon Valley every time, for a week, a year, and then I felt kind of charged up for 3 months afterwards, and the charge slowly went away. And being here permanently is you're continually on the charger. So much energy. People are so smart, so ambitious. They're striving for so great things, and they work really hard on making those come together. So that cocktail of ambition and opportunity, that is amazing, and I haven't found that anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. So Sid, this has been an inspiring conversation. and inspiring on so many levels. I got to thank you for your time and tell the viewership out there, feel free. Can people contact you if they want to talk to you more about this? Is there a way to contact you?
Yeah, what they can do is they can write to press@gitlab.com, and
Okay.
any conversation, if they will live stream the conversation, but I'm open to talking to people and answering questions.
Right. Are you on Twitter?
I am. SYTSES.
Oh, all right. SYTSES. Okay, great. Hey, Sid, thank you for your time. This has been another episode of Bright Ideas TV. Stay tuned, and we'll be posting next week's guest within a couple days. So again, Sid, thank you for your time. And this has been Bright Ideas TV, and I'm Bob Resselman.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.